Well, hi again everyone. Welcome again to my channel and to this latest video. This video won't take that long. I'm going to do some electrical work. I have this outlet that I actually installed with 6 plugs on it on my desk, right on the top of my desk, so that when I need to plug something in, there's an outlet handy. Well, I've come to find out that I need at least 2 of those connected directly to my UPS. If you get something out of this video, once again, please do me a favor and subscribe to my channel. Okay, this is the outlet that's on the middle of my desk right now that I will be making changes to. All 6 of these plugs in 3 separate groups of 2 are connected to a single power cord that's connected directly into the wall. It has all of the standard electrical protections associated with it. One thing I'm going to be using for this job that I didn't use before is this device here. A very handy little device that allows you to check whether or not a connection to a wall outlet is properly done based upon the lights that will light up. So if you were to look very carefully at this, you can see the different options there are to it. Ideally, you want the 2 yellow lights to come on and the red light not to come on. So you see down below here, there are 2 yellows and 1 red. So if I plugged it in right now, it's live. We will see that I have the 2 yellows on and no red. And if I check it, all 6 of them are live in a similar way. I'll jump ahead to this one, and then this one. They're all the same. They're all live at this point. It's an easy one for me to deal with because now I want to turn the power off on this. I go to the wall outlet and I unplug it, and we will see those lights go off. So now there is no more power available. It's completely disabled on all 6 outlets. So now it's safe. Let me show you the parts that I purchased. I have this extension cord, a 16 gauge extension cord that I will be modifying. I'll be cutting off part of it because I only want it to be as long as I need to connect this box up directly to the UPS. It'll really only be this pair of outlets that will be connected directly to the UPS. The remaining 4 will stay connected directly to the wall power. So if I have something that I need to make sure, like if I put a server or a critical PC on my desk to test it, if I plug it in here, it will be UPS protected. I also have a new outlet, and I bought one that's a different color. So this one is gray, and it will replace this outlet here. So the first thing I'll need to do is pop this cover off. It's not screwed in, it's a decorative one, so it sort of just pops right out. And then I can get to what's underneath it. I have a regular Phillips screwdriver here that I could then use to take off this cover. There's 6 screws holding the cover in. Okay, it's out, but I gotta make sure I put it the same way. I recall when I first installed this, there was only one direction it would go in properly. So even this says top. Top in this case is the bottom. So I have to make sure I follow that along. And now I have the 3 outlets. I'm not sure where the outlet starts from, so I will have to take them all out. So let me pull all 6 of them out. Okay, that looks like it's all out now. I'm actually coming in from this end. I wasn't sure which end I was coming in from. So I have all of them in parallel, connected together, and I'm going to have to take one of them off. To make it easier, I'm going to take the end one off, because that way I can disconnect that one from the one in the middle, and I can reverse it and turn them around. I have enough slack inside here to deal with the cable. That shouldn't be a problem. I follow general electrician practices, and I put electrical tape around the connectors whenever I install an outlet. I'll be putting new electrical tape on in a few minutes once I've replaced it. And I'll have to take the middle one off too, because I'm disconnecting from the middle one. And it will stay disconnected from the middle one because now it's going to be independent and running with UPS power instead of line power. I'll leave the last one alone. I won't have to touch that one. So for this one, I just need to disconnect it. One wire, one white, one black, and one ground. I will disconnect it from this end here. So let me take off the black that's connected to the last one in the chain. Need long nose pliers to unravel this, because I made a real solid connection when I put it in originally. I just want to get that out. That's the hot. The black is the hot. So now the black is disconnected. Let me flip this over and get the neutral out, the white one. And again, this is the one connected to the final outlet. Loosen that one to get in there and unravel it a little bit. And I wrapped it around really good. I wanted a nice solid mechanical connection, which is what you should always do when you're connecting electrical solid wire. Like this. And the last one is the actual earth ground. So this one has to be removed. So there's two wires in that same connector, so that one's going to be a little more challenging. Just loosen it just enough. Sometimes you have to take it all the way out to get it. Hopefully I don't have to do that this time. Let's see if I can get this wire. Fortunately, it is the top one that I'm dealing with. So I can get that out, and I got it. The mechanical connection there looks like it's still good from the other outlet. Let me just tighten it up, put this out of the way. Let me just tighten this up again with the long nose pliers, just to make sure I have a nice solid mechanical connection. Like that. And now I can just tighten this. So the actual screw is actually dyed green. And I got to make a really tight connection on the earth ground. Always got to watch out not to jab yourself with this. So now this one, completely removed. I don't need this one anymore. Okay, I've got myself a roll of electrical tape here. So I'll cut off a nice piece. Pick one that's big enough to wrap around it twice. But that should do it. And I always like to start with the hot. Well, before I do that, let me tighten that hot and the neutral screw back in again so that they're not sticking out. So if I take this hot one and I turn it all the way back in, that'll make the connection actually better for the one next to it. Don't leave the screw out. It'll actually weaken the current capability of that connection. And the same thing for the neutral. We get that all the way back in again. You don't have to make it super tight, but snug. There we go. And I'm going to take the electrical tape, and I like to start with the hot. The hot's the most critical one. So I start with the hot so I make sure I get that one properly. So I come around to this side here. I go underneath this top screw here. If you look carefully, there's a nice little channel it can fall into there. And I make sure I wrap it this way, and then I come all the way around. Got to get it underneath this little screw here on this side too. Make sure I cover all of the neutral, although it's not as critical as the hot. And I get myself underneath that screw one more time, and I come back around. I cover the hot again, the black, which is the hot, and then I probably have enough, just enough to go back around to the neutral one more time. Well, close enough. And now that one's protected. That way they're insulated from each other. Before I put the new outlet in, I'm going to measure how long of a wire that I need. I'm going to use the wire itself to do that measurement. This is the part that's going to get cut off, the part with the receptacle on it. We're going to keep the plug though. That's going to actually go into the wall. Sorry I couldn't show that as I tried to route it through my desk, but it was very, very complicated. It took me quite a while to get that to where I wanted to. Now at this point I have about this much extra that I'm going to cut off. It's going to still have to come from the bottom of the desk through into the blue electrical box. So I couldn't do it as long as this receptacle is on here, so I got to cut this part off to complete the routing. Got myself my large diagonal cutters, and I'm going to cut it right over here. Believe me, there's extra, so you're going to see a lot of extra when I do it. Now let me finish the routing and come up through the box. Okay, I've got it now coming into the box. There's a lot of extra. That's okay, a little extra won't hurt. I'm going to have to still put some silicone sealant down inside the box once I got it the way I want. So right now I have this pushed up in order for me to get the electrical wire through. So now we've got to strip this. Outer casings are really hard to do, especially these round, soft ones. So I've really got to cut it first with a pair of diagonals. Okay, 2 of these wires were stranded. The third one was solid, so I had to tin these with solder before I could proceed. So now I'm going to wrap them around a new outlet. One thing you should note with an outlet is when you see the gold connectors, that's the hot. That's where the black wire goes. And the white is where the neutral goes, or the white wire. So let me go ahead and give these guys a little bit of a twist. I like to twist them into a nice little hook around the circumference of a screw that's going to be here. I'll connect this one up first. You want to make it so that when you tighten the wire, it locks it down. So you want it in this way clockwise. So you want it coming from the left to the right, like such. And then if you take the pliers, you can sort of push that in there. And then when you take the screwdriver, you can lock it in place. And it will lock it and tighten with it properly. Again, as snug as you can on this thing. I don't want to jab myself, so I put it against something. It will break if you put it too much pressure, especially the gold one, which is really brass. So I do the same thing with the brass one. And I give it a little bit of a hook so that it'll go clockwise with it. Just enough, sort of like that. And then I get it into this and I turn it around this way. I get it in place. Now that one I didn't need the pliers to get it in. It locked right in. And let me tighten it down. Like such. And then finally, we need the ground. So I do the same thing with the ground one. I make myself a little hook in here with the pliers. I get it around. This one I need some assist with the pliers. There we go. Get it down here and I give it a mechanical tightening right here. Like such. Lock it down. Okay, and let's close the other screws on both sides. And now I can take some electrical tape and I can wrap it around this. A nice healthy piece of electrical tape. And I wrap it around. Again, get the black first. So I'm going to get the black completely covered, or gold. The screws are gold, but the wire is black. Come back around here and then just go all the way around. And if you can get the black twice, all the better. It's not as critical with the white. And then I just got to stuff everything back in. So now I'm getting these plugs back in place. They're opposite of what they were before. I got the lug up on this side now, but that doesn't make any difference. So I've got to push them all back in and get these 6 screws in. You don't make these too tight because they have to be adjusted. Go down just before they tighten up in order for me to get them adjusted with the plate. I just forgot that I've got to cut these little wings off. The type of bracket that this thing has, these wings will not work. So I've got to cut these little wings right off. And I'll cut, I got to wiggle them off. There we go. See how they sort of wiggle in place now? I need that to get them properly fitted. Okay, I got the plate. Let me put this in place and see what it looks like. It's pretty good. So once I get this, then I can lock the screws down. So then these little screw here have to go into these little. Once I get them started, then I can tighten the ones underneath. I can now tighten these other screws. So it gives a nice mechanical seating for the plugs. Again, not too tight, doesn't have to be that tight. Just push them all the way down. Tighten these little guys now. Okay. Now this should just clip right into place. And it's done. So let me put the tester in here and I will replug this and see if the power comes on. Okay, the AC is on now. Okay, now I've got this one plugged in to the UPS. Let's see if that one comes on. And it looks good, both orange. Perfect. So now I got these two outlets, UPS, I'll put a label on it later. and these two are regular utility power. Well, that completes this quick little video on how to install an outlet. It's a special case one, but what I did today applies to just about any outlet that you might want to replace. The wiring is exactly the same, it just happens to be a very isolated situation. That makes it easier for me to illustrate it as well. If you got anything out of it, please do me a favor and subscribe to my channel. My head is going to pop up here in a moment. Click on it, follow along, and subscribe. It doesn't cost anything to subscribe. Anyway, thanks again, and until next time, take care.